Everyone, it's Christina, Nomadic Stina, coming to you from Coyote Creek State Park in New Mexico. But the topic of this video harkens back to Wyoming and several weeks ago, and also my aborted trip to Maine. Yes, I never made it to Maine. So let's talk about flexibility while traveling. So I'm sitting outside of a rest area in Wyoming. So I'm heading, or I was heading, to Devil's Tower, knowing that there was a possibility of some thunderstorms. Me being from California, not thinking about, oh gee, Wyoming thunderstorms are a lot worse than the ones we get. The forecast said the possibility of light hail. Okay, we get that. Well, I just talked to a couple who were coming from the direction I'm heading, and they asked me if I was in the hailstorm, and I'm like, no, tell me about it. Golf ball sized hail. Temperature dropped from the 60s to 39 degrees, and everybody had to pull off the road, and within 10 minutes there was like 6 inches of hail all over the highway 59. Now, they said they thought the storm was blowing in the direction I'm heading, not the direction we're in, and judging from the way it looks outside, that's true. Looks pretty horrible over that way. Looks a lot better from the way I came. Now, the kicker for me is I decided to splurge tonight, and I rented a camping cabin at KOA for like $100. The KOA at Devil's Tower, just because I knew there was going to be some kind of bad weather, and I thought it'd be nice to have room to move around and just be protected from the elements, still have great views, have access to the showers and everything else. Even though there's no bathroom in the cabin, the KOAs usually have showers and decent bathrooms. And I booked that a few hours ago. If I don't go, I eat it. It's not like you can cancel the same day and get any money back, but I also don't want to drive into severe weather. That just doesn't make sense to me. Thought I'd sit here an hour or two and see how things go. I've been here quite a while. Things aren't looking any better. I started driving out that way, and within 5 miles, I encountered a lot of rain, so I found somewhere where you're allowed to turn around, and I turned around and came back to the rest area. Weather did eventually clear up enough that I felt safe driving on, and I did pass over the area where the hailstorm had been. I think they must have brought snowplows out, or else just the big rigs on the road crushed the ice, and by the time I got there, it was safe to drive on. And I made it to Devil's Tower without any storms. I stayed the one night in the KOA, and that was really nice. I don't often, splurge on $100 a night camping cabins with no toilets, but I needed that. A couple of different videos of Devil's Tower coming up. Stay tuned for those. But honestly, I do value my life more than $100. So if the weather had been that bad and if it hadn't cleared up, I absolutely would have turned around and eaten that $100. It's not worth driving into dangerous conditions for the sake of some money. And then there was Maine. I had originally booked tent camping sites at Bar Harbor, Maine, KOA, because there's nowhere to boondock around there. All the state parks and everything back east closed for the season pretty early. This one was still open. The KOA stayed open until a bit after Columbus Day / Indigenous Peoples Day. And I booked it knowing there was a good chance I would cancel it, and I did cancel it because the weather wasn't going to be good. It was going to rain, and it was probably going to rain pretty hard. So I decided to be flexible and cancel that. Maine's hopefully not going anywhere, not going to fall into the ocean. That's supposed to be California in a few years, so they say. They've been saying that for the last 50, 75 years. And in the case of this KOA, I had booked it well in advance, and I canceled it over a week in advance. So this time I got 100% of my money back. If I had wanted to try Maine, I would have had to buy another tent because I ended up getting the bad weather in Minneapolis. I didn't get it on the way to Devil's Tower driving through Wyoming, but I put up my tent for one night at the Minneapolis KOA, and the light rain turned into heavy, heavy rain, 2.5 inches in like a few hours, thrashed my tent. Plus I poked a hole in the tent, and I ended up abandoning it. So it wasn't worth it to me to buy another tent to go to Maine. So be flexible when you're traveling. Expect that, weather is unpredictable. Things can change and turn on a dime. And in the case of this KOA, I had booked it well in advance, and I canceled it over a week in advance. So this time I got 100% of my money back. It's not just the weather. I mean, something can happen to your vehicle at any time. I originally wanted to drive my daughter back east to college for her new semester. She had a year and a half of medical leave, and we were going to do it as a road trip. Well, I took my car in for service, and originally they thought that the whole transfer case had to be replaced. It turned out first mechanic was wrong and it was just a wheel bearing, but in order to get all that taken care of, it had to be done before I could drive her safely to college, and then she didn't have enough time, so we had to cancel that trip. And yeah, we were a little disappointed, but she flew back and I drove up a few weeks later, and it all worked out for the best. Again, just be prepared for things to go wrong and be flexible. And don't ever have your heart set on something so bad that you're going to be hugely disappointed if you have to cancel or change. My public service announcement for the day. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching this. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. If not, that's okay too. I'll see you in my next video.